Good people, good people, good people. Welcome back to the Gumtown Podcast, episode 168. I'm Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving it a shot. Today's guest is the co-founder and co-owner of JEB's Vintage. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure we'll all be inspired by his story. Let's chop it up with Emari Brown. Emari, how's it going, man?
It's going good, Doug. How's it going with you?
Glad to hear that. All is well on my end, too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, thank you for the opportunity as well, Doug. We really appreciate it as well here at JEBs. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Of course, here to talk about all the great things you got going on over at Jeb's Vintage and what you got going on in your other business ventures. But before we talk business, let's get to know the man behind the brand. Born and raised in the Gump. What was your upbringing like in the city?
Yeah, so I was like you said, I was born and raised in Montgomery. I had a really good upbringing as well. Was raised in a household with my mom and my dad and my little brother. They did everything that they could to instill in us, to be disciplined, hard working as well. Had a really great village around us as well when it comes to, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and some of my parents' friends as well. Which I give a lot of credit to the way that, I've turned out today as an adult. So we had a really great upbringing, really, really great upbringing. A lot of, instilling when it comes to, hard work and, discipline.
Yes, sir. It sounds good. Powerful stuff. And you said something key about that village. It definitely takes a village, having parents, siblings, grandparents, because that village is so dope because not only will they love on you when you're doing the right thing, but they corrected you when you're out of line.
Right, exactly, exactly. It was actually pretty hard, growing up to, do wrong and try to get away with things because, my parents had a really large network of friends. So, they basically knew everybody. So anytime I was out anywhere, someone would come up, to me, hey, little Brown, and they would either know my mom, they would know my dad. So I always had to look over my shoulder, when I was out to say, okay, someone might know, my parents. So that actually kept me out of trouble as well with them having, that large village and that large network of people.
Yes, sir. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, I
Mhm.
grew up in Wall, Alabama, so I definitely understand just that small village and just everybody knowing everybody. And like you said, you know to do right because uh somebody gonna drop dime on you if you ain't doing right.
Right, exactly, exactly. Somebody's always watching, even when you think they don't. They're not.
Yep. And as you grow older and as you become an adult, and I'm pretty sure you can attest to this, you appreciate those people for keeping you in line, holding you accountable because because more than likely, them holding you accountable kept you out of jail, kept you out the graveyard. So you appreciate your
Right.
village as you get older.
Exactly. No, that's a really big thing. And as you get older, you do start to realize that, when you're younger, in that moment, you're like, I can't do nothing. I can't have no fun. But, as you get older, you start to realize, like, hey, that, like you said, hey, that might have kept me out of trouble, kept me out of jail, or, even sometimes kept me from losing my life. So, I really do appreciate, the village that, I grew up with.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So you grew up in Montgomery, attend Park Crossing High School, graduate from there, commit to Lane College up in Jackson, Tennessee. So of course I know Lane College is an HBCU, so I gotta ask you, being that I went and graduated from an HBCU as well. What was the HBCU experience like for you?
And I wouldn't do it any different. I wouldn't do it any different. I'm so glad that I did decide to attend a HBCU, especially Lane, because with it being a small college, everybody knew everybody. You had a really great relationships with your professors, your teachers. You could always get extra tutoring and extra help whenever you need it. And then also with me being an athlete, as well, it was just a really great experience. Really, really great experience. I would encourage anyone that has an opportunity to attend an HBCU to definitely attend an HBCU because it is an experience that you can't get, anywhere else.
Yes, sir. I agree wholeheartedly, man. And just that part you're talking about having that relationship with your professors. And man, it was so great being able to have that close knit relationship with your professors versus just being a number. Because if it came down to the semester and it was crunch time, you had a relationship, your professor might might give you some ideas on how to get some extra credit, how to bring your
Right.
grade up.
Right, exactly, exactly, exactly. Give you a little extra credit assignment so you can bump your grade up 1 or 2 points, so you can get that A instead of that B, or that B instead of that C. So no, it was awesome. It was an awesome experience, and ooh, let's not even talk about on Wednesdays, fried chicken Wednesdays. My
Right.
goodness, man, that was those are good times. Those are really good times for real. Those really are. It shaped and molded me into the person that I am today. So I'm very, very thankful for my HBCU for Lane College as well.
Yes, sir, absolutely, man. And my favorite part about going to an HBCU was just connecting with people from all over, East Coast, West Coast, the South, the
Right.
islands, Canada.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty sure at Lane College it was the same way. You met people from all over and y'all just came together
Yes.
and created lifelong memories and relationships.
Right, exactly, exactly. People from all over the world, attended Lane. So it was great to be able to meet people from different cultures, different parts of the world, and just get to learn from them as well. So I had an awesome experience. I mean, if I had to go back and do it again, I really wouldn't do it any different. I wouldn't do it any different at all.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So let's talk about just being an athlete, playing for Lane College. What was that experience like?
So playing for Lane was actually a really, really good experience for me. Like I said, it taught me, it reiterated on the principles that my parents taught me as far as being disciplined. Because of course, while you're in college, right, it's so easy. It's so easy to get distracted. I mean, there's parties almost every day, different distractions on campus, different distractions outside of campus as well. And the coach that we had at Lane, he was very, very strict. Coach Derek Burrows, he was very strict. He was all about discipline as well. So it kept you, self-centered. It taught you how to have, self-control as well. From getting up early mornings to, work out after a long night out, or when it's game day and you have to get in that mindset, get in that mode to get ready to play that game. It was awesome, playing football at Lane. I know my freshman year, I started my freshman year. Uh, I started my freshman and my sophomore year. My junior year, I ended up getting hurt with a high ankle sprain, like literally a week before our first game. I played tight end, sliding wing when I was at Lane. So very physical positions. I used to, I love to hit. I love to hit. So I was a really good blocker as well, as far as the catching tight end as well. And my junior year, I ended up getting hurt with a high ankle sprain injury. That basically took me out, for the whole season because my ligaments almost snapped. So it took me out for the whole senior season, and then my senior year, unfortunately, that was COVID. So I missed that senior year and things as well. But that was my experience, at Lane as far as being an athlete.
Wow, man, I appreciate you for sharing that journey and just going through the peaks and valleys, the ebbs and flows of being an athlete, playing the physical position at tight end, as you talked about, and your junior year, like you were just saying, you got injured and had to overcome that obstacle, and then the COVID year popped off, and we all know what that was. So,
Hmm.
I definitely appreciate your transparency, and I got to commend you, Imari, because despite all that you went through, you went on to graduate in 2021, and I got to salute you, man, because you could have easily left school after you realized the NFL dream wasn't going to come true. So, what was it that kept you in to go ahead and finish to get your degree?
I mean, one thing that kept me in school to finish and get my degree, for one, I was on scholarship. So, one thing I did tell my parents before I left is, hey, I'm going 5 hours away, and I'm not quitting, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna come back home with that degree. Told my mom and dad that, my grandmother that, that village. I told my village, hey, I'm coming back with that degree. So having that commitment to them to do what I told them is what kept me there in school as well. Then also outside of being an athlete, I also liked being in school as well. I like to learn. I like to, expand my knowledge. So I didn't have a problem when it came to, going to school. So, after I got hurt, I could practice a little bit, but I still, I was really good in school, and I also like to say having an HBC, being at HBCU, having a relationship with those teachers as well. They kept you motivated to, want to come back to class, want to keep learning, not just, hang your head and just drop out because, your football dreams are over with. So that's what, kept me motivated to want to graduate as well. But then I also just wanted to have that degree on the wall to be able to tell, at that time, my future children, hey, your daddy went to college, got that degree because everybody doesn't get that experience. And I was, in that mindset where I realized like everybody doesn't get to have a chance to, get their college degree. So it was something that I wanted to do for the people who couldn't do it.
Man, that's so solid, man. Just thinking about, like you said, if you thinking about the future generations and setting an example and just having the relationship with your professors and like you told your village, hey, I'm coming back with a degree. I'm going up this road to play ball, but I'm coming home with a degree. And again, man, it just speaks to your character that you hung in there despite all the obstacles that you went through on the football field and your dream not coming true. You finished, you got your degree, you finished what you started. And Hey, you had it sounds like you had a good time in college. You partied, you stayed up late, but you graduated. That's the most important thing, man.
That is, it is, it is. Well, we had a really good time. We had a really, really good time. But you had to stay focused on what you really came down there for. And I always kept that forefront before anything.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So, present day, you're the co-owner, responsible for marketing and acquisitions and customer relations for JEB's Vintage. So, tell us a little bit about the company, what y'all got going on over there, and your role with the company.
Gotcha. So JEB Vintage, what we basically, so we're based in Montgomery, but we service the entire state of Alabama. And what we do is we are a chauffeur service, but we actually have vintage vehicles, ranging from the 1920s all the way to the 1960s as well. And as we're growing that fleet, we'll be able to have that diversity as well when it comes to those vintage vehicles. But basically, how I like to explain it to people is think of a limousine service. But instead of a limousine, replace it with a vintage car from the 1920s, the 1950s, the 1960s as well. Vehicles that, back then, a lot of minorities did not have the opportunity to own due to like Jim Crow laws, especially, in the South, because some of these vehicles were considered like your luxury vehicles uh, back then. But we service the whole state of Alabama. We specialize in, weddings, birthdays, photo shoots. I mean, we basically specialize in all occasions here at JEBs. And what my role is, and basically how JEBs came about is, one day after I came back from college, my dad, he's always collected antique cars. He came from a family to where his uncle was actually one of the first black owners of a service station and mechanical shop in Bruton, Alabama. So he always grew up around cars, fixing on cars, helping, his uncle fix on these cars, work on these cars and things as well. So he always grew up around cars, which is a passion that he took over to his adult life as well. And I can remember just as being a kid, my dad always, had, a vintage car. Like I can remember the first car being the 1965 Mustang, that if I can remember correctly, he traded for like a Jeep that he used to have. And so as he collected these vehicles and I came home with my base business administration degree from Lane, I think we were sitting down one day and he was saying, hey, I kind of want to do something with these cars because I mean, you have all these vintage cars that are, just sitting there and that's when we started, I started learning about assets over liabilities as well. Okay, you have all these nice cars, but how can these cars, start generating revenue for you? You also are able to share, your experience and, share these vehicles, with the world basically. And that's basically how Jazz Vintage was born, in our family living room. And, before then, I already had a real estate company here in Memphis, ENT Consulting. So I already knew the basics that we need to get in order to establish a business as far as like a LLC, business, bank account, and things like that. So I was able to establish that, within the first 1 or 2 weeks. And, right after we did that, we actually did our first event. A family friend of ours, Miss Belinda Forte, she was doing like planning a wedding for one of her friends. And she said, hey, why don't you guys, do the getaway and in the Shay, which is our Model A Shay, 1928 Model A Shay. And, we decided to do that. That was like our first actual event, which kind of lifted us off the ground. We were able to get some, content from that as well. We was able to learn from that as well. And that's kind of just how Jebs was born and, has continued to roll.
Wow, man, such a powerful story, man, and just love to hear the chauffeur services that you all are offering over at JEB's Venice, and just hearing just your dad's love for these classic cars and how you were able to use your degree and what you gained at Lane College, launching your real estate business. You use that knowledge to pour into the family business and help launch JEB's Venice, and even just hearing about you all's first event and how that was a huge success, man. I appreciate you for just breaking down what you all got going on over there.
Mhm. Oh, it's no problem. It's no problem. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's amazing. So you pretty much already answered the first couple of questions. I typically transition into, I like to ask entrepreneurs about their aha moment, action, and audacity. So it sounds like this the aha moment was just the conversation you and your dad had when you got back from college about launching the
Mhm.
business, and it sounds like from the action portion, it didn't take a lot of time getting everything off the ground because you already had the knowledge for the business, bank account, the LLC. So it
Mhm.
sounds like the action portion didn't take long at all.
No, so not really. Like I said, it only took maybe a couple of weeks because I already had that knowledge. But I also what also motivated me to go ahead and get started, get it done as quickly as possible is because we come from a long, my family comes from a long line of entrepreneurs. My mom's mom was a seamstress. Like I told you, my dad's uncle, owned the first service station, owned the first black mechanic shop in Bruton, Alabama. My parents also, they had a wing business in Troy, Alabama, Wings on Wheels, which was very popular, back then, when I was growing up in the early 2000s as well. So being able to be a part of, a business venture, especially with your family, is what motivated me to go ahead and get these things done as quickly as possible because, I know this was something that, we had an opportunity to build something that could be passed down from generation to generation to generation with what we, had planned.
Mm. Yeah, man, that's amazing, man. And just hats off to your family for that entrepreneurial spirit and just passing it down generations, man. And I love to hear those stories, man, like that entrepreneurship gene just running in the bloodline, man. That's amazing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
No
Thank
doubt.
you for your kind words.
Oh, no problem, no problem. And that last portion, audacity, is one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to put action behind it. But to put it out to the world to be praised or criticized, that's where the audacity comes in my opinion. So, who or what gave y'all the courage, the audacity to put Jeb's vintage out to the world?
So what really gave us that one of my big philosophies is if you're gonna fail, at least fail falling forward. If this was something that, I always tell my family, this was something that wasn't gonna work, at least we were gonna say that, we tried. A lot of people, I'm not even gonna say a lot of people, but a lot of people that want to go into entrepreneurship, they get stuck in a stage I like to call analysis paralysis, to where, you're reading books, you're looking at podcasts, trying to learn the industry, learn different marketing strategies, and you never really just go out there and do it to figure out, what works and what does not work. And I did not want us to fall into that. Um, so I said, hey, let's just do it. Let's just do it. We got the LLC, opened the business bank account. You got a logo made. 'Cause like I was saying, my parents, they used to have a wing business in Troy, Alabama in the early 2000s that was really popular. So we already kind of had the network of people when it came to the marketing and the logo side to kind of get that, up and running as quickly, as possible. Really, saying, hey, if we're gonna fail, let's make sure we fail and fall forward. So just go ahead and going forward, not thinking twice, just go ahead and going forward. That was kind of gave us, that, audacity to want to do it. And then also just to leave something, for our kids and the generations to come after us, to be able to build something that can be passed down, that can be kept in the family, really. Just having the opportunity to do that is what made us say, hey, let's go ahead and do this thing.
Yes, sir. That's powerful stuff, man. You said something key just in that great spiel that you just gave, man. That analysis, paralysis, and just how a lot of people do get stuck there. I mean, I've been there myself, and like you said, you can sit there and read all the books, watch all the podcasts. You can watch YouTube University from sun up to sundown. Until you get out there in that water, you ain't gonna learn how to swim. That's just what it
Right.
is.
That's true. That's true. You gotta get out there in that water. Just get thrown in that water. Swim or sink. Swim or sink.
Exactly. And something else you said, man, just about failing forward, because at the end of the day, when you do finally take some action and get out there, you're not gonna really take losses. You're actually gonna learn ways not on how not to do things, but you wouldn't learn that stuff unless you was actually out there doing, because no book, no podcast, no seminar is going to replace action. And you know that.
Right. Exactly. That's correct.
Yes, sir.
That's
No,
correct.
yes, sir.
Action is the most important action you can take.
Yes, yes, sir. Hey, absolutely. I mean, you just gotta just throw yourself out there, man. I mean, and of course, like we talked about offline, like I'm never the person that's gonna say, "Hey, quit your job, chase your dreams." Nah, use your 9 to 5 to fund your dreams. I mean,
Exactly.
just be wise about it, because nobody's coming to pay your bill. Well, I'm not paying your bill, so I'm not gonna tell you to quit the job. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna I'm not gonna say, hey, quit the job, because I can't pay your bills for you. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, but like you said, man, fail forward, put it out there. If it flops, it flops. If it takes off, it takes off. But if it does flop, at least you know, hey, I gave it a shot. I know what not to do next time. So just keep rocking and rolling.
Exactly. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You
That's a
miss
fact.
100% of the shots you don't take.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. So with what you do sales and marketing wise in your 9 to 5 that we talked about offline. So just speak to how how powerful it is to just master those two skills, like just the power of knowing how to sell and how to market.
Mhm. I mean, sales and marketing is essential, especially when it comes to business. I mean, and really in any business venture that you want to go in, any industry, you have to be able. So marketing comes to letting your customers know what you do, how you can benefit them, and then sales, of course, is closing the deal. Hey, this is what I can do for you. This is the benefits, and this is what makes us different and being able to close that deal. So that's really, really important. But there's also one more important thing that a lot of people don't talk about outside of sales and marketing is actually, in my opinion, more important than sales and marketing, and that's customer service. And that's customer service right there. Customer service, I think, essentially is the number one thing that all entrepreneurs, all businesses have to have because without the customer, no matter how good your marketing team is, no matter how good you are with getting on the phone or meeting people face to face and being able to sell your business, sell yourself, if you're not able to deliver good customer service, I mean, the customers will never come back to you. And all it takes is one bad review in order to crumble an empire, in my opinion. And that's actually a philosophy that I got from my first, career that I had outside of college. I actually worked for one of the biggest um, rental car companies, in the world. And that is one thing that they actually, harp themselves on was, customer service, even to the point to where even if you had the best sales, you had the most accounts. If your customer service score wasn't over, the company average, there was no way you were getting a promotion. And at first, when I first started, in this career, I just could not understand that. You tell me if I'm making the most money for you all, I have the most accounts, I'm not promotable. But as I started to basically, go into my career, especially, when I opened, my own real estate company here in Memphis, and also when we started JEBs as well, it reiterated to me that customer service, is important because that's how you get more customers. And you always want people to leave, really good reviews. You always want to leave a good taste in people's mouths. Because if not, nobody's going to come and do business with you. No matter how good you're able to market yourself, you can have a commercial, a billboard, you can be on the news every night, you can go and sell yourself to people. But if people hear that your customer service is not up to par, nobody's going to want to do business with you. So yeah, those are those things that are important.
Hmm. Man, you just said a word right there, man, but that customer service piece, and you are 1000% correct because if you treat people like crap, no matter how good your product or service is, their word of mouth marketing will take you down. And word of mouth marketing, that's the most powerful form of marketing, in my opinion, there is.
It is. It is word of mouth. That's that old school marketing. Hey, Doug has this product here. Go try them out. And because people do business with people that they trust, or that people that they trust have done business with.
Hmm.
That's one of the oldest tricks in the book. So you want people to trust you, but you also want to be able to deliver on what you're telling them as well. So that's why that customer service is very, very important. Very important. And that's one thing that we harp on here, at Jebs and also with my real estate company here in Memphis is customer service. Because it's so rare. I mean, it's so rare to get good customer service nowadays with some businesses. That's why, like I always tell people, that's why you'll see a line wrapped around Chick-fil-A. It could be wrapped around the whole building. You'll still see people coming in to get into that line because they know, for one, they're going to get a good product. For number two, they're going to get great customer service. So they're willing to wait 10 to 15 to 20 minutes on that chicken sandwich because they know the product and the customer service is going to do well.
Right, absolutely. Now you spot on with that Chick-fil-A analogy, man, and even another piece of customer service I'll add into all the great stuff you said is being able having enough integrity to let your customer know that you can't deliver on what you originally set out to deliver on. Hey, hey, sir, hey, ma'am, I wasn't. Hey, I know we agreed to do this, but just due to some conflicts, due to some other business dealings, I'm not gonna be able to deliver it on this day, this time. How would you feel about us postponing? How'd you feel about canceling? I mean, like you had to just be open, had an open communication, and I'm pretty sure you've had instances where you had to make some rearrangements, and I'm pretty sure you had no issue reaching out to your customer, letting them know, hey, this was going on.
Right, exactly, exactly. Setting the realistic expectations of what you can do and what your services can do is very, very, important. It's very important. So, like you say, being able to, even when you say, "Man, I done dropped the ball," they're gonna be mad at me. Being able to communicate, let them know you apologize, and then asking them how can I save this experience for you? Because of course they're gonna be upset, right?
Hmm.
But there's always a way that you can save an experience with a customer. And it's not, rocket science. You just simply ask them, hey, what can I do to make this experience better for you? I know I dropped the ball. I know I said I could do it on this day and I couldn't perform, but what can I do to save this experience for you? I appreciate your business. I don't want you to come back and do business with me.
Yes,
So
sir.
you said you dropped the gem there. You really, really did. You really did. Because I know there's a lot of times where we feel like, man, I done dropped the ball here and I'm scared to communicate that I dropped the ball. Where can I point the blame finger at instead of just saying, hey, let me just go ahead, be transparent, tell the truth, and save the experience.
Hey, hey, spot on. Nothing else needs to be added to that, man. That was spot on, man. So that's good stuff. You've done great things. You and the family, you all have done great things with Jeb's Vintage. I know great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion. What are some of you all's short-term and long-term goals for the business you feel comfortable sharing?
So some of our long-term goals is we would like to be able to start hiring people and also be able to do more services around the Southeast as well. I know we do service the entire state of Alabama right now, but I would like to be able to expand our services to Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Florida as well. Short-term goals, I would like for us to start, basically every weekend to be booked, with events as well. And that goes into marketing and sales and customer service as well. And also, I want us to be able to start acquiring, a new vehicle in our fleet, once every 3 to 4 months as well. So those are some short and long term goals that we have here at JEB that I can just share right now on the platform. Of course, we got some stuff that's, wrapped up in the black files and things, in the
Right.
secret service things. But of course, that's what I can share right now. But by the grace of God, things are trending well for us, and we're hitting a lot of those short term goals that we're having. So like I said, by the grace of God, it's all Him, none of us, that we're able to do that.
Yes, sir. Powerful stuff. Those are great goals, both short-term and long-term. And I have no doubt y'all will make them all come to fruition.
Thank you, Doug. I really appreciate your kind words.
Yes, sir. As we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask the $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness connected to the city of Montgomery. Whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it college, military, or work, you being a hometown hero, Emari, I want to ask you, what do you appreciate the most about the city of Montgomery?
So what I appreciate the most about the city of Montgomery is, number one, it's just the community, right? The community, the village. I know the city has a lot of events that it has, for the city, the community as well. But it's going to be mostly, the community for me. As I was growing up in Montgomery, my parents knew a lot of people. I'm starting to still learn a lot of people as well as I come back home as well. But it's mostly the community, and I also appreciate the city of Montgomery now in my adult life. As I come back home, I see that, the city has more of a forward vision as they're opening up more companies, more things to do as well. I'm saying the city is starting to trend towards wanting to be more modernized. I thought, you know, for the longest of times, back, especially when I was in high school, that Montgomery was maybe stuck in a certain era of things. Now I see them starting to take those steps forward, as far as with modernizing the city. So that forward thing, and I appreciate Montgomery for that as well, because we have a great city filled with great people, great businesses, great entrepreneurs, and just a great village of people as well. And like we were saying, offline, is that Montgomery kind of is seen in a bad light sometimes, depending on who you ask. But I'm telling you, man, there's some really, really great people here in Montgomery. Really great people that have been, an inspiration to who I am today, and just seeing them do great things as well. So as the city starts to move forward to do these great things, I think that positive light will start to shine a lot brighter than what it is now.
Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. So, Imari, how can the people connect with you and Jeb's Vintage? What are the social media handles and website?
So our social media handles on all platforms. That's going to be Facebook and Instagram. It's going to be Jeb's Vintage. You can also connect with us via email at info@jebsvintage.com as well. And
Okay.
that's JEB, so JEBS and then Vintage.
Okay. Too easy. And of course, I'll put all of the information in the description of the episode. Hey, Imari, thanks again for the conversation, man. I really appreciate you.
Doug, like I said, man, thank you just so much for the opportunity to sit down with me and speak with me about Jebs, giving us a platform to basically talk about our services as well. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumtown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Gone.